Hello, it's Patty Joe. A little dark in here, but it's so warm today outside. I don't want anything generating any extra heat, and I am making some banana bread. I don't know what's made me so homemaker today, but okay. Well, anywho, nobody needs to see too much of me anyway, so we are, I think, at the point where we're starting some sentencing remarks and things, and this is going to get a lot more disgusting on the goblin side of the table. And I don't know how much we can all take of hearing some of these things. I told you a little bit about my experience with giving a victim impact statement. And like I said, the deputies at the courthouse, even a year later, were just in disbelief at the response of the goblin that got me that night, and his whole how dare she say what she said, and I didn't do anything and I don't remember, and you know whatever. But I can tell you that that actually adds to the traumatic stress that ultimately you don't even know how it comes out and manifests in your life until later. And I can't imagine his whole and all this other crap he does. I can't wait. I can't wait to see your comments about it. Okay. Make sure I have. Wait till they make some noise here, and I'll check the feed and see if I've got everything right. I think I do. Multi. Yep. These up here. But I do kind of want to hear how he starts this whole day, because I think I missed that little detail. Ugh. Maybe I'll tell you bits and pieces of the story where I morphed into a Karen. I don't like that. I don't like that term, because it's my sister's beautiful name, but as far as what it is, I did do it too. Ooh. Oh, I had to. I felt like I had to. Listen for my ugh, too much waiting.
Thank you. Good morning, sir. Appearance, please.
Good morning, Your Honor. My name is Darrell Brooks Jr.
What?
Uh,
What?
I'm
What?
here.
Whoa! Did he say my name is Darrell Brooks Jr.?
Here for this matter by special appearance. It is not my intention to bring any controversy to you, Your Honor, or your court today. I'm wondering how I may settle this matter. Is there anyone here in the court that can give me a rendering of the account?
What?
Please.
What?
Please, Your Honor.
Appearances noted.
What are you talking about, you troll? Let's make sure this
The court will not be responding to that last question. We are here today to start the sentencing hearing in this case. This, of course,
is
following
one to
your
acknowledge
conviction on all counts following the jury trial that concluded in late October. I will acknowledge, sir, there are a number of documents you filed today. One is a motion for stay pending appeal. There are 2 ICFs that came in as well, both addressed to me. One related to court costs and fees, requesting a copy of the record at the court's expense. And then the other one also requesting a certified copy of the record, written and recorded, statement that you're waiving all fees and court costs, and that you would be appearing by special appearance. The court's not going to take these up initially, sir. In order for a court to consider a motion for stay pending appeal, the matter must be finally adjudicated, including the signing of a judgment of conviction. Once that is done, I will schedule the motion for stay pending appeal accordingly. That way the state can also have proper notice of that and be prepared to address that with the court. In terms of your request to waive costs and fees, I will interpret your written ICFs as a request that at sentencing I waive costs associated with these convictions to the extent that is allowable under the law. As far as the record is concerned, this court is not the custodian. As far as anything in the written record or the file, the clerk of court is the custodian. As far as the official transcripts of the proceedings, those will need to be prepared, and there are costs associated with that, and there is a form that you or a lawyer acting on your behalf would need to file in order for this court to consider that. So I'll take all of that under advisement, but will not be addressing that specifically other than what I have just noted. The other thing I want to take up preliminarily before I hear from individuals who are here to make statements is the letter that I sent to the parties yesterday. It does address one topic that I wanted to address at the beginning of the hearing today, and that is your request for individuals to speak at sentencing did not contain a request that they appear by Zoom. And I wanted to clarify that with you, sir. If you were requesting that they appear by Zoom and make their statements if they're not present in the courtroom on your behalf when the appropriate time comes.
Yes, I apologize for that, Your Honor. I didn't know that was it some type of step that I was supposed to include in that to make sure that they would appear by Zoom. I'm a little confused, so I apologize for that.
Sir, I don't know where any of these individuals live, whether they are local and can make it here or not. And I had anticipated that either of the parties, if there was a request for someone to appear by Zoom, that would be specifically made so that I could then take the appropriate steps. There is time. My intention would be that when the state has rested their portion of the sentencing hearing, all of their speakers have spoken and they have given their sentencing argument, that I would, depending on where it's at, probably take a break, start up the Zoom at that point, allow the individuals who wish to make a statement on your behalf to do so one at a time. But otherwise, I wasn't going to keep the Zoom up because the proceedings are being live streamed. Is that acceptable to you, sir?
In part, so I'm still a little confused on how would I get the Zoom link to those who wish to speak on my behalf.
My understanding is your mom has contacted the clerk of court's office I haven't addressed that in any way, but I would then give my staff permission to reach out to her. I believe she has left her phone number, and we could do that and provide that Zoom information to her, and I presume she would be able to get it to the individuals on your list. It's very important, though, that only those individuals appear on the Zoom. That's the only people I will approve, unless they're here in court, of course. And then the other parameters are that that individuals who are on the Zoom for that portion of the sentencing hearing keep their microphones off, their cameras off, until they are making a statement, and they have to be identified with obviously the name that was provided by you, and only those individuals. What I don't want to see is, one person and then 10 people behind them. That's not what I approved. So do you understand that, sir?
I have a quick question about that. Like,
All right.
one of the people that wish to speak on my behalf would be the mother of my youngest daughter, and I'm not sure when exactly she'll be speaking, and it's a chance that she would actually have my daughter with her. With that,
How old is your daughter?
she's 8.
As long as the child remains quiet and doesn't interrupt, I will allow that one exception.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so I will instruct Madam Clerk to let my other clerk know that the Zoom information can be released to your mom. There's a meeting ID and passcode, and that can be provided to the other individuals on the list. And I anticipate that that won't be until sometime this afternoon that we get to that portion of the sentencing hearing.
So
Just pausing
if they
for a
have,
quick second. Okay, I am so sorry. Banana bread, FedEx. This is what made me a Karen yesterday. Okay. Woo. I think I backed it up a little bit.
As far as the record is concerned, this court is not the custodian. As far as
Before I
anything
had to
in
go
the
get the banana
written
bread.
record or the file, the clerk of court is the custodian. As far as the official transcripts of the
So
proceedings,
this is before it was
those
dumb
will need to be
questions.
prepared,
Let's move forward.
and there are costs associated with that, and there is a,
probably on my behalf be able to walk her through that, or
well, I assume she might need help with that, or someone will be
she's
available.
80, so
Oh my God.
I don't think she's. Well, I know that she's not the most.
I trust they will have
Savvy.
that all figured out, sir. So, all right. All right, then. Is there anything else the parties wish me to address preliminarily before I turn to the state?
Yes,
From
Your
the-
Honor, I do have a few preliminary matters, please. The filings that you just referenced from Mr. Brooks, I did not see those in the electronic queue this morning. Would it be possible for the state to get copies, please?
Yes, they, I believe were hand delivered. Or Zach may be, Mother Clerk Zach may be doing that right now. We'll make sure, but Teresa can make copies for you as well.
Okay. I also wanted to ask a couple of housekeeping matters, Your Honor, as far as timing and scheduling. If we complete the hearing today, then I assume that eliminates the need for the hearing tomorrow. Is that correct? Or do you see a version where we come back tomorrow no matter what?
I do see a version where we come back tomorrow, no matter what. I want to be able to digest the statements from everyone and process them accordingly. There's going to be quite a few for both sides, and I think it's appropriate that I take the overnight to do that and come back tomorrow to render
Okay.
the sentence.
Okay, thank you. That's very helpful. The other question is, we have the easel back in the courtroom. Some people did want to display some foam boards. If it meets the court's approval, we'll leave it at this location and then just pass up the exhibits, and Detective Regland can display them if that's okay with the court.
Well, it's certainly like Mr. Brooks to be able to see them as well. Mr. Brooks, are you able to see the easel from where you are? Otherwise, I could have it put in the witness stand too. And then Detective Regland could just
Sure.
kind of facilitate that.
Sure, okay.
He still thinks he's in control.
That will work. And then other individuals have brought digital photographs that we'll be displaying. So we'll need your clerk's assistance with that. And again, we'll be using Ms. Gussie at the back table to accomplish that.
All right, thank you. All right, anything else from you, sir, before we start this morning?
Yeah, just really quick. Very quick reference to the ICFs. I did address a ICF to the clerk of courts in regards to the record. So I did. I should have mentioned that when you was talking about it, but I did. Actually, I addressed it to her personally.
I trust she'll respond in due course then.
So what?
Anything else?
Not at this time, man.
All right. I will note that it appears yesterday some restitution information was filed. Was that hand-delivered to Mr. Brooks? Attorney Opper? The restitution information, was that hand-delivered to Mr. Brooks?
Yes. Everything we e-filed yesterday was provided to Mr. Brooks personally in the jail, Your Honor.
I object to that, Your Honor. There were a number of documents that I did not accept.
I didn't accept them.
I'll have
And
the
mainly-
clerk print them off. There is a restitution request from the
You don't have to
WAUKESHA
agree.
School District totaling, oh, that's just one piece of it. Let me look at the letter again. There's a letter from the state and then a crime victim compensation request as well. The state will be requesting $47,193.29 to EMC Insurance Company on behalf of the School District of WAUKESHA, and additionally requesting $124,220.65 to crime victim compensation. That's the program through the Department of Justice. And supporting documentation, I believe, was also filed. Let me just look for that.
Say it again, Your Honor.
And we'll have it printed off.
Yesterday, whether he
$175,000.
accepted it or not, I don't know, but it's available to him in the jail, Your Honor.
All right, understood. All right, thank
I
you.
don't have it, so just for the record.
Madam Clerk will print it
So
off,
what?
and you'll have it
I don't-
shortly.
I don't know if where they put it after I didn't.
After I
And
did.
the reason why I want
accept
to
it.
state this for the record, the reason why I didn't is because I didn't know what it was. When they came to my cell, I was sleeping, so I was just like,
I was sleeping.
whatever, I'm not getting up.
So I didn't
So it
accept for
wasn't like
value,
a
return for value.
Exchange or anything like that. It was just like, hey, we got some mail. I'm just like, yeah, I'm not. And he was like, all right.
All
All
right.
right, they'll be noted for the record, but again, it is being provided to you this morning, and you'll be able to review that as you see fit. All right, then Attorney Opper, one last question from the court. Do you anticipate making your sentencing recommendation at the conclusion of all of the other statements being made?
Yes.
All right. With that, then, you may commence.
All right, thank you, Your Honor, and I appreciate that. I do intend to just make some very brief preliminary statements to the court and then commence with the individuals who are present and have asked to speak. I just want to state again for the record, we have organized the individuals who want to provide a verbal statement to the court into 3 or 4 groups. I think we're at 3, we're at 4. Okay, we're at 4 groups. We have the first group present in the courtroom, Your Honor, and along with their support persons and family members and things like that. We will go through the first group and then request that brief break to trade out the groups if that's agreeable to the court. I just want the court to be aware and state something that's maybe obvious, but maybe not. The people that are speaking to this court are direct victims of this crime. They were either charged individuals or representatives of the groups such as the Blazers or the bank or whatever. You're very familiar with these groups now after having gone through trial. These are people with a direct link to either someone that was hurt or injured or killed. That's who we're presenting to you today. Obviously, there could have been thousands of people that would want to share with this court their thoughts, impressions, and the impact that this crime had on them. We did not turn anyone away, but some individuals did contact our office and expressed a desire to contact the court, or I'm sorry, to speak to the court. We directed them to write the court a letter if they felt it was appropriate. I don't know if the court received any such written materials. We also provided some written impact statements on behalf of our charged victims. I know the court has those and has very likely reviewed those already. So I don't want to spend a lot of time with my thoughts and impressions right now, because I think what's really most important is for this court to hear from these families. And the reason I say that is, you know, Judge, that at trial, we asked some cursory questions about the injuries that were received and the impact that these crimes had on the individuals that were directly involved, but we didn't spend a lot of time on that. And I think this court is really going to be astounded to hear the level of injury that many of these people suffered. Many children suffered the impact, the life-changing impact it's had on them. So this will be different and new and
Okay, so I'm sorry, that was my son. He's done.
information than what we presented at trial. And I think it's very relevant and important for Your Honor to consider when you're deciding on a fair and appropriate sentence, and knowing the gravity of the crime, the seriousness of the situation, and the impact that it had on the community, to hear from these families directly as to what they went through. And again, this was touched on at trial as far as the physical injury versus the emotional injury and the trauma that has been suffered. So I think that will be important as well for this court to appreciate this defendant's conduct. We're past the guilty finding. He's been convicted. Now it's time to talk about what exactly his conduct did to our community and to these families. So these speakers are grouped, not necessarily within the groups as they march down the street, but there is some logic to, so we're not going to bounce all over the place is what I'm trying to say. We'll try and clump them together to make the most sense to the court, and with the court's permission. We have a set lineup. Of course, we may need to be a little bit fluid depending on somebody's emotional state or desire to speak when it's their appointed turn. There are some individuals that have said they're going to try and read their statement to the court, but they may not be able to get through it, in which case I believe Jen Dunn will step in and read the remainder of the statement for them.
Thank you. Would you please confirm on the record that the state has complied with victim rights?
Yes, we will confirm that, Your Honor. Thank you.
And then please give the court a heads up when a juvenile is next.
Yes.
So that the cameras can take the appropriate steps as well.
Yes, absolutely. And for the record, we did provide a list to the cameramen from Court TV, or individuals from Court TV, and we're trying to assist them in that regard as well. We want to thank them again for their high degree of concern for obeying the court's order, and their respect and intention to strictly adhere to maintaining the privacy rights of these victims. So they've been absolutely very professional in that regard, Your Honor.
Thank you. And then just lastly, because I would like to keep track, and obviously I will honor however they want to introduce themselves, but if you could also tell me which victim they relate to, if it's not self-evident,
Sure.
that would be great as well, and I'm going to keep a list.
Okay,
All right,
thank you.
Go ahead.
All right then, I believe our first speaker would be Lori Loken.
And if it pleases, is this on? How's the volume? There we go. If it pleases the court, Your Honor, one of my staff will actually go let Court TV know when a minor is coming next.
Thank you. I would appreciate that.
All right. And are you going to say the victim that you relate to, or I can tell the court this is for victim you?
Thank you. Good morning, ma'am. Thank you for being here.
Good morning. I'm addressing the court. Is the microphone on? Yeah, it is. Okay. I'm addressing the court, but I also want to direct my comments to Darrell Brooks Jr. My name is Lori Locken. I was walking with the Catholic community of WAUKESHA, my church family. We were celebrating the joy of the season in preparation for the birth of Jesus when you made your decision to drive through the parade route. It truly amazes me that you deny your accountability for the damage and hurt that you have willfully caused. In the years ahead, I urge you to carefully consider the sorrow and grief of the WAUKESHA community and the world at large. Ponder the loss of lives within our families, the physical and emotional injuries that may never heal, and the sense of personal safety that you robbed from us. As for me, you never gave me a chance. I turned around and it was only seconds before you hit me square on. I clearly remember feeling the impact,
Look at his face.
the searing pain of that.
I am sorry. I am so sorry. Look. Did you see
That
his
blow
face?
Is as clear to me today as it was a year ago. Since then, I'm healing as best as I can from the physical injuries. But you took away my peace and my trust, something that I will never regain. My prayer for you is that you will find your salvation in the midst of this evil. I hope that you will repent for the heartache you have caused.
He won't. No remorse.
So many. I too pray that your own personal wounds that you have sustained through your life, which has created so many demons in you, will be healed through this action. Thank you.
That was lovely. What is he shaking his head for?
Thank the court for this opportunity. I am Bill Mitchell, formerly known as Victim ZZ. To you, Mr. Brooks, I'm charge 52. On November 21st, 2021, I was marching with the Catholic community of WAUKESHA and the WAUKESHA Christmas Parade. I was walking in the back and I noticed our banner was flying up because of the wind. So I went up to hold down the middle with so people could read it. I was joined by a priest who helped hold it down. We walked almost the entire joyful parade route when something caught my attention. I turned around and saw a headlight. And then I was hit. I didn't see the driver and I didn't see the type of vehicle. I flew over the hood and ended up on the ground with 8 broken ribs, bruised lung, fractured hand, finger, and my face was slashed open in several places, requiring stitches. Strangers and friends came to my aid as I lay bleeding in the street. I spent 3 nights in an ICU. The recovery was slow. My hand still has painful cramps that freeze in my fingers. But I know I was lucky. Others had a lot worse injuries and 6 died. The impact on my family was great. My wife was home recuperating from surgery when she received the call I was hurt badly and on the way to a hospital trauma center. Not able to drive yet, she had to wait for my son and his fiancée to pick her up and drive her to Oconomowoc. And after I was released, she had to do a 180 from patient to be my nurse and help me in even the most basic tasks. The stress had slowed her recovery. The continuing pain was a major factor on me giving up a part-time job I enjoyed.
Yeah.
We had to rely on family and friends for transportation to doctors for follow-up care for months. Neighbors pitched in to do my yard work and snow removal. Youth from the neighborhood decorated the inside of our house for Christmas. This crime had a ripple effect throughout the community. I do want to take this opportunity to thank all of you for your diligence and sacrifice to be here. I tell people I was blessed because I didn't see the carnage that night. I just saw people helping me. But the jury and all of you had to watch the entire awful scene on videos and hear detailed reports of what happened. I'm sure that's going to stay with all of you.
Yeah.
I wanted to thank the judge for her patience and knowledge. the police, Detective Casey, for their thorough investigation and quick arrest, the prosecution for presenting such a strong case. A special thank you to Jen Dunn, Carrie, and the entire victims assistance team that informed, comforted, and listened to the many people impacted by this tragic event. Finally, I can't bring myself to thank the defendant, but the response to the evil act he did shined a spotlight on how strong, supportive, and loving community we live in. Many people and organizations stepped up to help me. Family, friends, neighbors, co-workers, first responders, Aurora, doctors, nurses, my church family, the Catholic community of Waukesha, Knights of Columbus, AOH, United for Waukesha Community Fund, Catholic Charities, and so many strangers offered support and prayers. The vast majority of people are good. That said, then there is Mr. Brooks. He is a unique individual who can have a clear conscience after running over kids like speed bumps and killing 6 people. I would suggest someone without a conscience. He doesn't ask for forgiveness. He doesn't admit to doing anything wrong. It is never his fault. When he slapped a woman, it was her fault because she made him mad. I believe if he made it home that night with the red SUV, he would have told his mom the damage wasn't his fault. He was in a hurry and people didn't get out of his way. Some crazy, old, fat, gray hair guy body slammed his hood. I didn't watch all the trial, but the parts I saw showed Mr. Brooks had a lack of empathy for his victims or remorse for his actions. The only regrets he seemed to have is that he was caught and the impact on his own life.
Yeah.
Free, he would probably not drive through another parade, but chances are someone so self-centered as Mr. Brooks will hurt other people again.
Yes.
The only life he seems to value is his own.
Yes.
I don't believe that Mr. Brooks will think about me or any of his victims ever. The feeling is mutual. I really don't think much about him now, but when the prison door closes on this felon, I won't think about him again. I do hope Mr. Brooks will use the Bible for more than a courtroom prop. He may want to start with the basics that I know his family had taught him, thou shalt not kill, but then you might want to read Galatians chapter 6, verse 7. Your Honor, I hope you give him the time to read and study the Bible. Mr. Brooks did everything he could to try to make the trial a circus. It is not a circus. It's not even about Mr. Brooks. Today, the court will hear what the trial is about, the victims.
Yes.
And as former victim ZZ, I would ask the court for a sentence that keeps the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks Jr., away from society forever. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Brooks, my name is Jason Peckloff, and I'm with the Catholic community of Waukesha. I was one of the victims you hit with the SUV you were driving on November 21st. What you did to my Catholic community and to the city of Waukesha show that you had no regard for life. What makes it more disappointing that you have shown no remorse for what you have done. While you're sitting in prison, I want you to reflect what you have done. I want you to reflect that you nearly took my life. I almost lost the chance to see my wife and kids again. I may have never had the chance to love or hug them again. You intentionally harmed my community, whether it was physical or psychological.
He's angry.
You stole our innocence that day. Before that tragedy you created, it was a beautiful day we all experienced and never thought an evil thing like this could ever happen at a parade. My friend, myself, and the Waukesha Catholic community were asking parishioners and their families to participate in this parade. Imagine the guilt we must all bear for the rest of our lives.
They feel guilt.
Because of your actions. I was out of work for about 6 weeks. Then I had to go back part-time because of my sustained injuries.
He doesn't understand that.
Because of your actions. The multiple lacerations you created leaked out of the bandages and onto my bed comforter and sheets. What an awful visual to have. Because of your actions, I could have lost my foot. Thank God my nurse friend was checking on me. Because of your actions, my wife cannot get the images out of her mind of what you have done. You have forever scarred her. Because of your actions, my wife had to hand over my children to our community friends to check on my lifeless body. Because of your actions, my children, 4 and 6 at the time, had to go with a grieving friend to find her own child that was in lockdown. It took a while for them to be reunited. Because of your actions, my children are scared to death when they had to cross the same street you drove down.
Yeah, that's
They
true.
were bawling and begging me not to cross the street. Because of your actions, I need to reassure my children that it is safe at parades. Not sure they ever feel 100% safe.
Really
Because
wrecked
of your actions, not all people in our community are ready to go back to the parades. Again, you stole that innocence from them. Because of your actions, my children are scared of sirens. Because of your actions, they were scared of red SUVs every time they saw one. They cried and hid. Because of your actions, I walked into the entrance of my children's school and felt like a triage unit. I saw children on crutches and a walker.
God,
What an
that's
awful
true.
image to be burned into my memory. Because of your actions, I feel terrible. I could not help my community and the city by testifying during the trial. Your cowardly actions did this.
Yes. Yes, they did.
Your actions forced my family to seek out therapy and resolve in their minds what happened. Your actions made us second guess what we did that day. What could we have done differently? During this trial, you show no remorse. It makes you look like a monster. During the trial, you show little regard and respect to the court. It makes you look disrespectful.
He is
During the
disrespectful.
trial, you treated multiple witnesses terribly. You were trying to twist the words of our pastor, who is a man of the cloth. You made a comment to a witness you injured that he was walking fine now. It makes you a callous jerk.
Yes.
Despite
Goblin.
what you have done to my
Goblin
community,
sword, sir.
I forgive you. Forgiveness does not remove the need for justice. Justice must be served and you must go to prison. My prayer is that forgiveness will heal your wounds and the wounds for the city. Thank you.
Laughs at him. Oh, God, this is going to be so hard. I might have one more in me.
Morning, Your
to be
Honor.
honest with you.
My name is Margaret Petulis, victim BBB, count 54. I know I am blessed to be here today to present my statement to the court. Darrell Brooks's choices on November 21st, 2021 took a toll mentally, physically, and emotionally on me, as well as affecting my family. I remember the moment someone yelled car, and I turned to see a vehicle behind and to the right of me. My thought was, what is this vehicle doing here? After that moment, I have a void in my memory. My mind won't let me see what happened. I remember my thoughts. Oh my God, this can't be happening. Please, not my hip, not my leg. My next memory is lying on the ground with a person from our group and a nurse talking to me and asking how I was. They worked on keeping me calm and from going into shock. I will always be grateful to them. Every night I would lay awake and replay the incident to see if I could get the memory back. Months of counseling and the passage of time have helped me be somewhat okay with not knowing what happened. One of my fears is that when I least expect it, the memory will return. After being impacted by the vehicle, I was laying on the ground with severe pain to my left leg. Emergency people stopped by, and one questioned whether I had been shot, and all I could think of is, why would I have been shot? I was eventually lifted into a police SUV and taken to Waukesha Memorial Hospital. I was examined and was released after being diagnosed with a broken bone in my left foot. I was instructed to wear the boot provided by the hospital, sit in a recliner, keep my leg elevated, and not put any weight on my left foot. I was instructed to follow up with an orthopedic doctor the following week. I went home and found it very hard to get from the car into the house. I couldn't figure out how to walk without putting my left foot down on the ground. My stomach was nauseous from the pain medicine. My husband and daughter assisted me into the house and sat me in a chair. I immediately passed out, and when I came to, my husband and daughter were concerned that I had had a stroke. They called 911, and I was transferred to Aurora Trauma Center. I was examined head to toe and again released with a diagnosis of a broken bone in my left foot. We live in a tri-level, and I was able to get to the lower level where there is a bedroom, a bathroom, and a family room. For the next 6 weeks, I would sit in the recliner with my left leg elevated and ice packs applied. I also slept with a wedge that kept my leg elevated while I was sleeping. After experiencing more pain in my left leg, I was sent for an ultrasound, and the ultrasound found a hematoma on the inside of my right leg. Standing up was extremely painful even without putting pressure on my left foot. It would take me a couple of times of standing and then sitting back down on the side of the bed until I could bring myself to hop on my right leg using a walker for balance to get to the bathroom or to the recliner. My husband had to help me in and out of bed due to the extreme pain in my lower left leg. I couldn't dress or undress myself, take a shower, go to doctor's appointments, or to mass without his help. Every day he had to apply a gauze wrap and an ace bandage to my left leg to cover the blisters so that as they would burst, they were covered. He then applied the boot sock and a boot. Every day for several weeks, he had to prepare all meals and bring them down on a tray to me. We were fortunate that he was working from home during this time. I had orthopedic appointments and 3 rounds of physical therapy. I am still going through physical therapy. After the bone healed in my foot, I was still experiencing pain in my ankle. The pain limited me. I had trouble walking normally, could not walk any great distance. Going up and down the stairs was best sitting on the stairs and going down that way. As time went on, I was frustrated that I could not perform the simple act of walking down the stairs. Before going to the 3rd physical therapist, frustration set in as I thought I would always have pain and not be able to do all the things I enjoyed, such as pickleball, stand-up paddleboarding, kayaking, walking miles, and traveling. My 3rd round of physical therapy found that the whole left side of my body was twisted from the impact of the vehicle. After 10.5 months and 3 rounds of physical therapy, I am now 95% back to normal. All the months of suffering and thinking no one would be able to figure out what was wrong, I was worried that the pain would remind me forever the choices Darrell Brooks made on November 21st, 2021. I wanted my life back. During this time of healing, I felt isolated and frustrated that the Advent and the Christmas season were happening, and I was unable to decorate, shop, or participate as I usually would during the holidays. Emotionally, since being struck by the vehicle driven by Darrell Brooks, I have felt like a victim. Every day I was reminded that I was limited by physical pain and loss of self. The world went on, but I was stuck, not able to move forward. Today, I am taking the final step forward in my journey of coming out the other side of this incident. Life is starting to look like it was before November 21st, 2021. I know I am not the same person that I was before this trauma, but now I have an enhanced appreciation for life and a stronger sense of spirituality. I am grateful to have a supportive family, supportive friends, and my Catholic community of Waukesha who have all walked this road with me. Forgiveness is a choice. I know that I can forgive you, Darrell Brooks, without forgetting the trauma you caused, without you apologizing and acknowledging your actions. This may take some time for me to accomplish, but after today, I will not let your actions take over my life. I will move on. Regarding sentencing, Your Honor, I would like to request that due to Darrell Brooks's total lack of concern for human life on November 21st, 2021, that for each count that the jury returned a guilty verdict, Darrell Brooks received the maximum sentence for each of those counts. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good morning. My name is Jeff Rogers. My children were victims U and V. I'm a father of 4, 3 of which were marching with me in the parade last November.
Testify.
2 of my children were struck and injured. I also serve as the president of the Waukesha Blazers baseball and fast pitch organization and was a couple months into that job at the time of the parade. I've debated whether or not to read a statement for this sentencing. At the end of the day, I felt it necessary to have my voice heard. For my sake, for my family's sake, and for the Waukesha Blazers' sake, and for all the other victims. I'm here today with families that I love, and I'm so sorry that this happened. First of all, this event was completely avoidable, and from my perspective, there has been zero remorse, sympathy, or acknowledgement of the victims by the defendant. All he had to do was stop the vehicle when he saw the crowd, and none of these lives would have been changed forever. For this reason alone, he needs to be locked up for the rest of his life. But enough about him. This is about the impact of the event on me, my family, and our Blazers organization. I'd like to speak as a father, first of all. The impact this has had on my family and I has been immense. This last year has been full of confusion, irritation, anxiety, and depression. We haven't been able to live a normal life. The trial has been dragged out, and literally we were pulled back through to relive everything, all because this person wouldn't admit it like a man and take what was coming to him. My kids are some of the strongest people I know, and they have proven that through the faith in God they've displayed throughout. However, the impact this has had on them literally makes me sick. No more parades, that joy is gone. This is something that will never leave them. I'm still learning things today as well about what they heard and saw that day. I pray every night that God continues to strengthen them to push through and know that He is in control. That night when we got home, I'll never forget Caden looking at me with glassy eyes. He looked up at me and said, "I'm really glad Riley is okay," and started to cry. When my wife Stacy sat on the chair next to me that night, it felt different. She hugged me longer than normal and a lot more firm than normal and said, "Thanks for keeping our kids safe." Everyone saw on the videos that were shown, we're literally inches away from losing 3 out of our four children, and myself included. I thank God each day that He spared us and provided the adrenaline, courage, and strength to get my kids out of the way, gather all the kids we could, and pray together. My wife was going to come with us that night along with our toddler son. I play things in my head over and over, imagining what could have been if she would have come. Where would she have been standing when that SUV barreled through? I have flashbacks most days to Maya's jacket slipping through my hand. If I wouldn't have grabbed it the second time, I know what the outcome would have been. Riley still has trouble sleeping, with some nights getting out of bed 6, 7, 8, 9 times because she heard a noise or doesn't feel safe. A few days ago, I was one-on-one in the car with her, and I finally apologized for not finding her right away. Thank God our friend found her and kept her safe, but as her dad, I've lived with the fact that I couldn't find all my kids that night after it happened. I went way too long not knowing where my kids were, with panic overwhelming me. As a father, I can confidently say that this incident had a year-long impossible impact on me and our family. Are we managing? Yes, of course, as God is in control. Now to speak as the Blazers president. This was a happy gathering and almost the kickoff of my presidency with the Blazers since I was only a couple of months in. We were getting to know each other, welcoming a new coach, our new board members, and overall just ready to advertise our Blazers program. Looking back at the pictures from prior to the tragedy, we were so happy. So much love and camaraderie. We were ready for an awesome season. I spoke just prior about my perspective during the event as a father of 3 kids, but as the president of our organization, the weight of the moment to find an account for everyone felt like it was on my shoulders. We had nearly 35 people there. I knew I had lots of help, and for that I can't thank the other parents and coaches enough. The moment was a blur, and gathering and putting kids up in the truck was the priority. From there, the kids I could find huddled with me in the theater, and we said a prayer for those injured and being attended to. I knew that the next few days were going to be intense, but I never fully grasped how crazy the following days, weeks, and months would be. The amount of turmoil and struggle for our Blazers organization was literally insurmountable. From the moment of the incident, the amount of media and law enforcement interaction was exhausting and unending. Media showing up at my door asking for individual participants' status. Unbeknownst to them, that 2 of my children were hurt. There was nonstop email flow, phone calls, planning, coordinating, and filtering through things. It was endless work. This job went from something I truly loved, from my biggest passion in life, to something I cried about for months. I went from giving speeches on Facebook Live about how cool our new indoor facility was to speaking at Jackson's funeral.
Oh,
From there, the community really pulled together. The amount of love and compassion that came our way was also unending. It was honestly overwhelming. For that, we cannot thank this community enough. Finally, I wanted to briefly touch on the true impact this has had on me. My faith was challenged over the past year, but I can confidently say it's stronger than ever. The hardest part about the whole incident was not knowing where my kids were, not having answers for what just happened, not knowing if more danger was coming. I knew I had Maya next to me, but when I went back and forth screaming for Caden and Riley, that horror plagues me every day. I go back to those moments quite often, and when I watch the videos during the trial, it brought back all those feelings. Pure and utter terror, that's what it was, and that's the impact it still has today. Finally, in closing, I'm a man of faith and wanted to share 2 Bible passages which have pushed me through. First of all, my confirmation passage, Joshua 1:9, it reads, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid, do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." And secondly, I met with my pastor prior to testifying, and he provided me with an excellent part of Scripture. Philippians 4. It says, "Rejoice in the Lord always. I will say it again, rejoice. Let your gentleness be evident to all, the Lord is near. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understandings, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." Thank you for listening, and may God strengthen us all.
Thank you, sir.
okay. I'm sorry. I need to take